I texted my mom right after I heard the gunshots. I was like, I love you guys. I don't know if I would survive. How many times are we going to go through this? You know, I feel like at this point as a society, we're like normalized to it now.
Fresh wounds and unanswered questions. Las Vegas students traumatized in the aftermath of yet another mass shooting in this country, while investigators grapple with the haunting reason. Why? I'm Ellison Barber in for Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. We begin with new details about the man police say opened fire yesterday inside a campus building at UNLV, killing 3 people. Officials identified the gunman as 67-year-old Anthony Polito, according to NBC News law enforcement sources. Polito previously applied for a job at the school that he did not get. That was back in 2020. Earlier tonight, we learned that the gun used in the shooting was purchased legally last year. The suspect here was armed with more than 150 rounds of ammunition yesterday. That is according to investigators. We are also learning about the victims in this shooting. They are 64-year-old Professor Jerry Cheng and 39-year-old Assistant Professor Patricia Navarro. A third victim has not yet been identified. We're joined now both by NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin, who is in Las Vegas, Nevada, and NBC News terrorism analyst Jim Kavanaugh. Dana, let's start with you. What are we learning about the suspect and his connection to the school? That's the question so many people want answered, is why this school? Why this at all?
Yeah, Ellison. Yeah, and I think that officers have stopped short of saying the specific motive, but as you mentioned, we know the connection. He unsuccessfully tried to get a professor job here 3 years ago. That didn't happen. Investigators say they issued a search warrant or conducted a search warrant and found that he was having financial troubles. He actually had an eviction notice on the apartment door that they searched. They say he left behind a last will and testament. Investigators say he also had a hit list for people that worked here at UNLV. Luckily or unfortunately, investigators say the victims were not on that list. So why he targeted these people, it's still a mystery. Ellison?
Dana, let's talk about the victims. Tell us what we know about the people who were killed here. And there is one victim who was injured by a gunshot, by gunfire, that is still in the hospital. Do we know how they're doing?
Yeah, at this hour, it's unclear how that person is doing. Investigators said, however, that person was shot on the 5th floor, and it was the quick thinking of officers that got that person into a patrol car. They met an arriving ambulance, and he says that that likely saved that person's life. As far as the other victims, we know 2 of them worked here at the business school, and another was a UNLV faculty member. Again, why they were targeted remains unclear, but it is just really tough for a lot of students, you know, who had to witness that yesterday and were unaware of whether this gunman was coming to their classroom. But it appears that this suspect specifically targeted faculty members and not students.
Dana, I know you have been there speaking with students and staff. Can you give us a sense of how they are doing right now, what they say they went through?
Yeah, many tell me they are just now starting to process this shooting. One student I spoke with was on the 5th floor. He said that he was actually meeting with one of his professors. That professor went to a restroom and never returned. He's been trying to email and call this professor and has yet to hear back, and says that he hopes that his professor is okay. He says other teachers pulled him into a safer room, and he actually captured some video when you can hear 2 of the shots as that shooter was inside that building. He was so scared he texted his mom, "I love you," because he says he thought he was going to die. Listen to what else he told me.
I was not ready to die, but ready to die.
Did you think about dying?
Yeah, of course, because the gunshot was so close. I feel like he's coming in, and the only thing you can do is praying that he doesn't pick this room.
And that's what that's all he could do. He was praying and hoping that that gunman didn't come in, and luckily he is safe. But a lot of students are now having to process the trauma of a shooting like this. One of my colleagues spoke to another student who not only was inside this building, but also was at the 2017 mass shooting, the deadliest murder in U.S. modern history, not far from here, just miles away at that music festival. So for a lot of people, they're starting to relive these things that really should never happen in this country. Ellison?
Yeah. Dana, the ripples of trauma can be so massive. Sometimes it's hard to wrap our head around how much moments like this impact other people. Thank you so much for explaining that to us, and with such compassion. We really appreciate it. Jim, let me ask you some questions here. I mean, when you're listening to Dana's reporting, everything we know about the suspect so far, what questions do you have towards finding a motive?
Well, that was a great report that Dana had on that witness who was right there next to the shooter. That's the closest witness I've heard about, you know, being in proximity to the killer. I think the motive is going to come out of some of his writings, probably things they find at the house, since he had this list of people that he might have wanted to target. Even though he may not have killed those people at the university, because his desire to kill Ellison may far outstrip his ability to form a strategy to get exactly the people he has this anger for. It sounds like he's a man choking on an empty grudge. Unfortunately, it's an old story in America, and it underlies and underlays many of these cases, these murder sprees that are linked so closely to suicide. This guy might have been suicidal. He did shoot at the police. You know, maybe he was going to kill more people. Maybe he was going to go and to the people that were on his target list. Like I say, his plan might not have been so great. Maybe he thought the professors on his target list or the employees on his target list would be in the Beam Hall, and they weren't. So he started killing other faculty. So it's a super sad case. I think it's going to be not very satisfying when we find out the reasons. They're going to be small reasons. You know, financial difficulty, resentment for not getting a job 3 years ago, spiraling downward. They're not going to be big reasons, and it's going to be not satisfying to anyone to hear. What we have to do is just glean what we can to help try to stop another killing somewhere in America. And we need that information, and then we need, as a society, need to act on those things to stop these killings.
Jim, the sheriff in Clark County was asked about some of the lessons law enforcement officials there learned from the mass shooting at a music festival in 2017. I want to play part of his answer and then ask you what you think.
We could really answer that question probably for hours. There was seamless integration regardless of what kind of uniform you were wearing. There was zero hesitation, and they just executed unbelievably well. And that didn't happen on October 1.
What are your thoughts, Jim, on the lessons learned from 2017 to this other mass shooting?
You know, I was on NBC Air all during that shooting at the music festival. It was a horrific case, and the Metro Police came under intense criticism for not coordinating their response to it, not being timely, not, you know, pressing the shooter quickly. And they regrouped after that, and not only with the Metropolitan Las Vegas Police, but the surrounding suburban towns, and with their colleagues in the state, Nevada State Police, and the federal agencies that respond. And you have to all coordinate. So, you know, you have a joint operations center, a joint command meeting. You got to use all the assets that these departments bring to stop these cases. And in the end here, Ellison, it was the university police, the campus police, detectives who were quick, responded fast. That's what the training is on active killers. Respond quick, try to get 2 or 3 officers together, and when he shot at them, they killed him. So, you know, the police are good shots usually. We practice a lot, we shoot a lot. If you have a handgun and you're going up against a policeman or an agent, usually you're going to lose because we're usually much better trained. And this guy certainly wasn't going to be a good shot against any kind of officers. Luckily for all the students of the university, they were able to stop him.
Dana Griffin, Jim Kavanaugh, thank you both. We appreciate it. We have some breaking news out of Los Angeles. Sources tell NBC News that federal prosecutors are preparing to file new criminal charges against the president's son, Hunter Biden. Let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles for the latest. So, Ryan, what do we know right now and what do we not know?
Well, what we know for sure, Allison, is that a new round of charges are going to be handed down against the president's son, Hunter Biden. And we expect those charges to be handed down at some point today. Of course, the courthouse in California, which is where we expect these charges to originate out of, closes. Actually just closed about 10 minutes ago. So we could get that information at any time. But we have been given notice that these charges will be handed down. To answer your question about what we don't know the scope of these charges. We do have one source telling us that it is likely going to be tax related. That is something that we've been tracking for quite some time. You'll recall that Hunter Biden attempted to plead guilty to a misdemeanor tax charge in the summer, and that plea arrangement fell apart after scrutiny from a judge in Delaware. Once that plea arrangement fell apart, the two sides attempted to try and get back together and come up with a new agreement. They were unable to do that, and they basically walked away from the table. And that led to the special counsel in this case, David Weiss, to decide to just go ahead and pursue charges. He's already handed down one indictment against Hunter Biden related to a gun charge, and we expected these tax charges would come next. One of the things we're waiting to see, though, Allison, is whether or not these tax charges will end up being a misdemeanor or a felony. He had originally planned to plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge, but the parameters under which the evidence that the prosecutors were working at the time could have warranted a felony charge. So that could be part of what we'll see when this indictment is unsealed. But the news is we do expect charges against the president's son, Hunter Biden, to come down at any time.
So, I mean, you mentioned and explained very well the past situations, the past legal issues, the collapse of that plea deal that Hunter Biden had earlier this year, the questions and the allegations related to him allegedly not paying taxes by the IRS deadline. So this probe, you're saying, is focusing on tax-related issues, we believe. That's the thing about grand jury probes. They are secret by nature. But is there any chance these charges, there could be something that is a step beyond some of the tax-related issues? I mean, could we see something like related to the Foreign Agent Registration Act or anything like that? Do we know right now?
You know, honestly, Allison, once that plea arrangement fell apart in that Delaware courtroom, all bets were off. And, you know, the special counsel in this case, David Weiss, had said from the very beginning that the investigation into Hunter Biden was ongoing and wasn't limited to any certain set of potential charges. In fact, that was part of the reason that the plea arrangement fell apart, because Hunter Biden's legal team was under the impression that if he pled guilty in that case, that he would basically be absolved from any future investigation. So there is that possibility. The sense we are getting, and we don't have this definitively nailed down yet, but the sense we're getting is that it's likely going to be reserved to these additional tax charges, and it's not going to go, like you suggest, perhaps as far as a Foreign Agency Registration Act violation. That's not to say that he couldn't face those charges in the future, but this particular round of charges, especially originating out of California, where we know that he was alleged to not have paid taxes during that window of time, was while he was living in Malibu, and that's part of the reason that, since we know it's coming from California, that we believe it'll be connected to those tax charges.
All right. NBC News' Ryan Nobles with some breaking news and excellent reporting there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tonight, Israeli forces say they are doing everything they can to weed out Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the man they say is the, quote, mastermind behind the October 7th attack. Israel says they believe he is hiding somewhere under southern Gaza. Two U.S. officials tell NBC News Israel's military is considering flooding Gaza's underground tunnels with seawater. They have previously said Hamas uses those tunnels to store weapons, to carry out attacks against Israelis, and also to conceal hostages taken on October 7th. Right now, Israel's military has declined to comment on that plan. Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation inside of Gaza, it is nothing short of catastrophic. In the 2 months since the war began, 17,000 Palestinians have been killed. That is according to Gaza's health ministry. And without food, fuel, or medicine, the World Health Organization says they're on the edge of catastrophe.
But the health infrastructure is on its knees. It's almost collapsing. That is what the reality is. It's almost collapsing.
Israel says they've approved a small increase in aid to prevent a, quote, humanitarian collapse in southern Gaza. But the people we are speaking to on the ground in that area, they say it's too little, too late.
I went to the market today to buy a bag of tomatoes and some vegetables for my family, but I did not find anything. And if there is food, it will be many times more expensive than the previous price. And if I find a certain order, I spend 1 hour also to stand in the line. And maybe the turn come for me and maybe I can't find anything. Now we either stay in our house and die of hungry or go out and die by indiscriminate bombing.
NBC News correspondent Hala Gourani joins us now from Tel Aviv. Hala, we're getting some updated information on aid getting into Gaza. What do you know?
Right. Well, we understand that Israel has agreed to open another crossing for inspection of aid trucks and their cargo. This is the Kerem Shalom crossing. Many of our viewers may be aware that the current aid delivery takes place through the Rafah border crossing from Egypt into Gaza. This is just for inspection, though. It will just kind of speed up the process. The trucks will then still have to go through Rafah, but currently they're being inspected at a much smaller crossing point, and it's taking a lot longer. This is not going as far as the U.S. would probably want, because the Kerem Shalom crossing is the one that was before the war typically used for cargo transit. Rafah was for passenger transit. So just the fact that inspection will take place now there will probably make things go a little bit faster, Ellison.
Hala, what is the latest on Israel's efforts to weed out, find, arrest, detain Yahya Sinwar?
So we know they're encircling his home, and we were discussing earlier, I think, together, the fact that the probability he was waiting for the IDF to come pick him up in his house in Khan Yunis was less than zero. Where is Yahya Sinwar? You know, it's anyone's guess. Probably in an underground tunnel, the IDF would say. But what the Israeli military is doing is it is rounding up people in the Gaza Strip, especially in the northern part, and then kind of determining later, it seems, whether or not they're associated with Hamas. And they are also signaling that they have killed a number of Hamas leaders. As far as Yahya Sinwar, though, his whereabouts are unknown. The Israeli military and the government are promising that they'll eventually catch him. They have said he's the architect of October 7th, and they have made it one of their main goals of this whole operation, Ellison.
And Hala, there have been some disturbing videos circulating online showing young Palestinian men nearly naked in the streets. We don't know exactly when this took place, but it seems consistent with the IDF statements about questioning who they call, quote, terror suspects in Gaza, as you alluded to and have reported on. What do we know about this video?
Yeah. Well, so these images and these videos show men stripped down to their underwear, some of them cuffed, some of them with their hands above their heads, with Israeli military soldiers towering over them. The Israeli military say that essentially these are suspected terrorists. Palestinians would say many of them are civilians. In fact, one media outlet said that it recognized one of its journalists stripped down to his underwear, sitting on the street in a long line of men as well with him, almost entirely naked there. They would say this is a way to dominate and humiliate these individuals. The Israeli military is saying that they have to do this to round up all of the men who are of fighting age and determine whether or not they're associated with Hamas that way, Ellison.
All right, Hala Gorani in Jerusalem, not Tel Aviv. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. More developments on that breaking news this hour. New charges against Hunter Biden have been filed in federal court in California. NBC News legal analyst Angela Senadella is here with me to break it all down. Angela, we are both literally going through this as we sit here together, so forgive us for both being on our phones a bit. But looking a little bit at this so far, it seems that this is all tax-related to the plea deal that he'd agreed to earlier in the year that had then fallen apart. The special counsel, David Weiss, sent this to a grand jury in California. This is from a federal court.
Yes.
What is going on here? I mean, just base level as we're looking through this, and I mean, this is 56 pages, so it's going to take us a minute. But are you surprised that this is something that was even taken to a grand jury in California?
Yes, you know, I really am, because these tax charges were supposed to be part of this plea deal. So Hunter Biden, when he went in front of that judge who did not approve that plea agreement, he admitted openly in court that he had violated tax laws as part of the plea agreement. Now, that is literally the definition of a bait and switch. So you agree to this because you think you're not going to have to go to prison for it. And then because it's not signed by a judge, then those same charges are filed against you later. Now, as a lawyer, I'm aware this is legally possible. Many things are legally possible, but the fact that this actually happened is rare.
So according to our NBC News team that obtained this indictment that was literally just filed minutes ago, again, it was filed by Special Counsel David Weiss. Hunter Biden has been indicted on 9 tax-related charges. If you are Hunter Biden's legal team, how do you approach this moving forward?
Well, first you fight, and first of all, his legal team is extraordinary, so I'm sure the ways in which they fight it are going to be extraordinary. But he is still attempting to claim that the plea deal is valid, so they are continuing to challenge that. And I imagine that's why the timing of this is happening before that is fully resolved, because at this point, that plea deal could potentially still be revived. He was challenging it.
So when we're talking about this past plea deal, and that is the one where there are already charges that have been brought related to him being in possession of a gun, which is something, given his record, he wasn't allowed to do. But the charges and the questions, or the allegations rather, around the tax issues initially, it was an allegation that he had failed to pay taxes by the IRS payment deadlines. His legal team has said that he has since paid all of those. But I mean, when we're looking at this amount of charges, does this seem to track with all being related to that initial plea deal?
Yeah, it looks like it's for failure to pay and for willful failure to pay. But again, these charges are brought very unusually due to the limited resources of the IRS generally, and they tend to only bring them when they're real outstanding amounts. That's what they go after. Or if it's a situation like Wesley Snipes, where someone is intentionally trying to challenge the law and say, I don't want to pay taxes. But Hunter Biden in court admitted to not paying taxes, but then seemingly has made it up. It's unclear whether or not he's paid back the full amount, but that's often something that could happen in negotiation. This usually does not devolve to this level of a lawsuit. I'm sorry, of criminal allegations.
Why do you think the special counsel has chosen to take this route? There's been a lot of attention on Hunter Biden, his business dealings via House Republicans. They've looked into a lot of different things related to Hunter Biden. There was also the allegation from some IRS whistleblowers saying that Hunter Biden had received some sort of special treatment, that they had slow-walked the process because he was the president's son. When you are looking at all of this, knowing what you know about Special Counsel David Weiss, why do you think he chose this?
Yes, I think what you're getting at is extremely possible, and that's because all prosecutors have total prosecutorial discretion, meaning so there are so many people out there who have likely been in a similar situation like Hunter Biden, but are not the ones who are getting charged. In this case, Hunter Biden getting charged, it's because David Weiss is feeling some pressure to. At some point, he did not, and now he does. So it is likely it is because of the intense political pressure on his special treatment that he's allegedly given to Hunter Biden. But it's also an unusual case where he is a family member of a politician, but not really a politician himself. So the scrutiny is a little bit questionable on all sides.
Very quickly, what should we be watching for in the coming hours and days? I mean, when you see a special counsel take something to a grand jury and they come back with 9 tax-related charges. Could there be more to come, or is it a done deal once they give those?
Well, I believe there could have been additional charges filed in Maryland. So I'm not really sure if these are the entirety or if more charges could possibly be dropped. And often prosecutors leave that option to their discretion to drop another shoe when they want to. Like this happened. This was not entirely expected. So almost dropping at this time after that plea deal fell through is significant. So I would look for what his legal team is going to do. How are they going to challenge it? Are they still going to say that this plea deal should have been revived? Are they going to nullify everything that he said in that court and claim that that cannot be admitted as evidence in any future trial, like in this tax trial? Are they going to settle these charges? There are so many questions, and it really depends on what agreements his own legal team and the special prosecutor come to.
Okay, a lot to watch. Again, this is a 56-page indictment. Our team is certainly going through all of it. I know you will be as well. We will bring you updates as we have them. But again, Hunter Biden, President Joe Biden's son, has been indicted on 9 tax-related charges. The indictment was filed Thursday by Special Counsel David Weiss in a federal court in Los Angeles. Don't go anywhere, because we are just getting started on a busy news day. Winter is coming. Parts of the country, they are already dealing with dropping temperatures, and heavy rain and snow is headed for the Northeast. We have the forecast, and good eyesight or not, anyone can be a scientist. We will show you how a chemistry lab in Texas is making things more accessible for those with disabilities like blindness.
We know that diverse groups of scientists, people who think differently because they live differently, they produce better science.
Welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Today, House members voted to censure Democratic Representative Jamal Bowman for pulling a fire alarm in the Capitol while Congress was in session. The resolution passed with only a few Democratic votes, while most of the party defended Bowman. A censure is basically punishing a member's behavior, but it does not expel them or remove them from their assignments. Hisham al-Wartani, the Palestinian student shot in Vermont, was released from the hospital to a cheering crowd. Video shared by his family shows him waving goodbye to medical staff as onlookers hold balloons and shake his hand. Al-Wartani is currently paralyzed from the chest down from the shooting. He will be headed to rehab in a few days. Today marks the 82nd anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack, which killed over 2,000 service members. A ceremony commemorating the assault was held this morning at the naval base in Hawaii, where 5 survivors attended to pay their respects, including a 103-year-old named Ike.
We arrived in Pearl, 1940. We didn't know what to expect, and we knew that if anything happened to us, that would be it, you know. And it's kind of a funny way to describe it, but I can't think of any other. Scared stiff.
New York Democrats have chosen former Representative Tom Swayze to be their nominee to replace former GOP Representative George Santos. Republicans will select their nominee early next week for the special election that is set to take place on February 13th. And it wasn't quite a winter wonderland, but some people in Philadelphia got a tiny treat this morning as light snow trickled down in the area. While there wasn't a lot that accumulated, it was enough for one family to pull out the sleds. The snow even made its way here to New York City, and the Rockefeller Christmas tree got a little dusty. And the snow is far from over, as more storms are set to come in over the next few days on both coasts. Another storm is coming into the northwest, which is still recovering from heavy rains and floods. Snow has already started to come down heavy in the mountains, and they could see over a foot of snow through tonight. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is here to tell us more about these wintry storms and where they're headed next. Bill, good evening.
Well, good evening to you, Allison, and we are busy. We got numerous storms tracking across the country heading into the weekend. We have the one that we've been dealing with on the West Coast, and then a new one as we go in towards Saturday. So here's the storm system that will eventually be a big deal for the East Coast. Doesn't look like much, right? Just kind of a weak little storm heading through California and areas of Nevada. But when this picks up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, it changes. So the Northwest, kind of showery day today, on and off showers, some snow showers at the high elevations. Tomorrow's not too bad. Then everything changes on Saturday. This is when the next atmospheric river and next storm will move in. Renewed flood risk, especially for the coastal areas and in the Olympics. Gusty winds will have snow levels a little lower than the last storm, too. So that's actually good, because that way we don't have to worry about melting snow and getting into the rivers once again. I'm not expecting significant flooding from this, but it's going to be an ugly Saturday. This is all heavy rain from Portland, Eugene, northwards, all the way up towards Seattle. Snow from Seattle heading up, once you get through the Cascades, all the way out to Spokane. And some areas will get significant snow at the highest of elevations. By Sunday morning, Washington State, you're just about done. A little bit of leftover rain here in Portland. So what does it all mean? If we're going to get any flooding concerns with the rivers rising once again, it'll be from the Olympics here southwards down to Astoria. Portland to Seattle, about a half inch to an inch of rain likely once again with this next storm. Then on Friday, that initial storm, the one that I just told you went through the West Coast today, that goes into the Rockies. By the time we get into Saturday, it develops and gets a lot stronger here, pulling moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. We'll have a severe weather risk with it, cold air on the backside, as you'd expect. And then here's that storm I just talked about, the next one going in on Saturday. Sunday, this storm makes it to the East Coast. What a wild day this is going to be. Temperatures are going to be 60 in Boston, but then the temperatures come crashing down late in the day, some rain changing over to snow, especially watch out central Pennsylvania, western New York, and in central New York, maybe even up into the Adirondacks too. So the severe weather risk, right now it's a slight risk. That means it's not going to be too widespread, but from Houston to Shreveport to Greenville to Memphis, there will be a chance for isolated tornadoes and definitely wind damage. And here's that snow forecast through the weekend. A spine of the Appalachians, definitely some snow for you. Western New York, anywhere in the blue is 2 to 4 inches of snow, and in the Adirondacks, possibility of a half a foot. So keep that in mind. Anyone traveling late in the day on Sunday, and the rain on I-95 and the flights are going to be a mess from D.C. to Philly to New York, especially late afternoon into the evening. That's when the heaviest rain and the strongest winds will be moving through. We may even have, Allison, winds strong enough for some power outages in coastal locations, and definitely significant flight delays and cancellations late Sunday. Heads up to any of our travelers.
All right, Bill Cairns, thank you. Coming up, Denver is trying to figure out what to do as migrants flood the city. Shelters are already full, and they are forcing some people to sleep in the bitter streets in the cold. That is coming up, but first, you gotta see this. Students rushed to the scene to help rescue a woman and her 3-year-old daughter who were trapped under a car. The car had hit both of them, as well as her 2-year-old son at a school in Utah. The students were able to lift the car just enough that a man from the Air Force was able to pull them to safety. All 3 were taken to the hospital and are expected to be okay. An incredible rescue. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Here are some of the stories happening out west that we're following. Newly released video shows the moment a man appears to go after 2 Seattle police officers. It happened back in October. Seattle police say they got a call about a man attacking people on the street. When officers arrived, they say the man ran from them, took a fighting stance, then lashed out and tried to tackle one of the officers. Officers took the man to the ground and eventually arrested him. Submarines, they are used for a wide variety of things, right? Combat, exploration, carrying thousands and thousands of pounds of cocaine. Yeah, over 9 tons of cocaine valued at nearly $240 million was seized and offloaded in San Diego last month. The Coast Guard says it came from 6 separate drug smuggling attempts. The largest seizure was found on a narco submarine. And 7 days, 245 arrests, 12 stores. Those are the numbers the Sacramento Sheriff's Department says are the result of a week-long retail theft operation. They called it Operation Bad Elf. It was watching out for shoplifters while the holiday shopping season is in full swing. Most of the arrests, however, failed to meet the felony threshold in California. So instead, they got a ticket for a misdemeanor and ordered to appear in court. Tonight, another city is struggling to respond to the growing number of migrant arrivals. In Denver, Colorado, officials say their shelters are full, leaving new arrivals to sleep on the streets in freezing temperatures. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has more on the unfolding crisis.
Tonight, Denver, joining the growing list of cities struggling to handle a record surge of migrants, with entire blocks full of migrants sleeping on the street.
Oh, it is a crisis.
Mike Johnston is one of 5 Democratic mayors recently writing President Biden, saying action is needed to help cities address the crisis.
What's the one thing you want from the Biden administration right now?
When you admit someone for asylum into the country, they should get work authorization. We should expedite the process of approving that application so it doesn't take 4 years. It could take 30 days.
Johnston is under increasing pressure from counties outside of Denver that are not taking in migrants. Suburban Douglas County passing a resolution demanding Denver drop its status as a sanctuary city, a jurisdiction where officials won't enforce federal immigration laws. Critics say that attracts more migrants, with illegal crossings at the southern border this year at record highs.
What would you like to see the city do?
I'd like the city to actively proclaim that it is not a sanctuary city. I think it's important that we're not bringing people to a cold weather climate.
There are more than 2,600 migrants in Denver's shelter system, and now nearly 30,000 who have come through Denver in the last year, costing taxpayers more than $32 million so far.
Denver's shelters are full, with some migrants now sleeping in tent encampments like these, where temperatures drop below freezing at night.
It just seems like pretty inconvenient for them and for us. Really, a lot of people in this apartment complex are concerned.
Families with children are given priority in Denver shelters. We meet a group of adults who just arrived. Genesis from Venezuela said they don't know where they're supposed to go next. We don't know. We have no knowledge, direction, location, she tells us. Jan saying, we had to go through 7 countries on foot through the jungle. We came for the opportunity for the work permit.
Mayor Johnson says Denver expects to spend as much as $100 million on migrants in the next year, but they're only budgeted for $20 million.
Julia Ainsley, thank you. Still to come, Hanukkah will look a lot different this year for many families around the world, especially those currently in a war zone. Next, a look at this year's Festival of Lights. Stay tuned. Right now in Gaza, rockets can come down on anyone, even if you just gave birth. The World Health Organization says there are roughly 50,000 pregnant women in Gaza, with more than 180 giving birth every day. We wanted to introduce you to one of them. This is no place for a newborn, but it is Isra Al-Jumala's only option.
أنا إسراء كمال الجملة عمري 28 سنة ولدت بنتي في تاريخ 24/11 ليلة الهدنة لما قالوا الصبح هدنة ولدتها صار لها يعني تقريبا 10 أيام وعايشة هنا في مستشفى نازحة في شهداء الأقصى وفي خيمة يعني عايشة في خيمة هنا برا يعني المستشفى جعانة يا ماما.
Her baby girl, who is also named Isra, doesn't know what she's been born into, but her parents do. And it is hell. A hell they did not ask for.
Hello.
A hell they cannot escape. A hell that has robbed them of a home and the most basic necessities.
نقدرش نوفر يعني زي ما حليب حاجات متطلبات إلها أواعي لبس تتدفى يعني هذه الكفولة لما ولدت والله واحدة والدة تانية عدتنا إياها يعني عشان كان جوزي غطاها بجاكيته يعني شوفي لوين والحليب مش متوفر وحليبي بيشبش يعني وفيش غذاء كمارة والدة يعني تكون في بيتها بتتغذى عند إمها عند يعني عند أهلها والوضع اللي احنا عايشين فيه هي رمل الرمل بننام على الرمل وبنقوم على رمل لا حرام ولا شيء بنتي يعني بتحتاج يعني كتير اغراض حليب بامبز كلينس انا كأمها يعني حليبي بيشبعش إلها لا كطفلة يعني بدها حاجات يعني تتغذى حليب تتغذى منه.
As Isra wraps her baby in blankets and soothes her cries, she's prepared for the worst, but praying for better.
اني اروح انا وبنتي واهلي على دارنا اعيش زي ما كنا يعني في بيتنا وتخلص الحرب.
She hopes one day all of this will be a distant memory and a story of survival. That one day she'll tell her daughter about the bombs, how they rattled the ground under their feet and turned the night sky orange, how she was a child of war, but God willing, not one of its victims. Tonight marks the first night of Hanukkah, but in Albany, New York, it's off to a frightening start. Police there say a suspect opened fire with a shotgun outside of a synagogue. He reportedly shouted "Free Palestine" after firing the shots. The suspect has been arrested, and police say no one was hurt. But what happened there epitomizes why celebrations feel different this year for so many. It's been 2 months since the Israel-Hamas war broke out, and Jewish people in the United States have faced a surge in anti-Semitism ever since. According to a recent survey from the Anti-Defamation League, there was a 316% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in the month after the war began. That's compared to the same time period a year ago. That same survey shows that 73% of Jewish students on college campuses reported experiencing or witnessing an anti-Semitic incident since the school year began. Joining us now is Rabbi Chaim Mintz from Chabad Bel Air. Rabbi, it's so wonderful to see you. We are glad to have you with us tonight. I hate that we have to start with what has happened in Albany, but I do want to ask you, based on what we are seeing in terms of anti-Semitism, particularly being so out in the open right now in this country, what do you make of all of it? And when you think of starting the celebration of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, how do these incidents, like what we saw in Albany, change the way Hanukkah is celebrated?
First and foremost, Hanukkah is a holiday of light. And why is this happening? From a rabbinical standpoint, we're all saying the exact same thing. Light is about happiness. It's about life. Light is about giving. It's about being good. There's a dark, dark element that is right now out there trying to destroy what is good in this world. You see them screaming in the streets. You see people feeling like we just want to kill people for no random reason. That is darkness. The Hanukkah candle is something that goes to the public. So many Jews around the world are looking, why are they shooting at us? We say, we know why. But nobody is giving up their Hanukkah celebration. Everybody is having it either in the streets, either in their home. But this has united us in such a way that was never, ever done before. Jews could be fighting politically. You saw what was going on in Israel 2 months ago. But the mass darkness and the hate that is brought upon the Jewish people has united us in ways that it's amazing. So we honestly believe the more that we're going to celebrate the Hanukkah, it's a beautiful message, not only for the Jewish people, but you've got to realize something. Here in America, a lot of people are coming up to me and others, and they're saying, what's going on? What's going on? And I say to them, it doesn't stop with us. It's going to come to everybody. That's the way it's been. Listen, you're talking to a rabbi who's part of a people for 2,000 years. We saw how it always started. Started with the Jewish people. We ran, but they kept on going after other people in their countries. We're not running from the United States. And we don't want to have what's going on to destroy the United States. So the holiday of Hanukkah is a message. Get to light your candles, do a good deed, hug somebody. One little candle, one, changes the darkness of a room. And that is the message. And I got to tell you something. I have so many Christians coming to me, sending me pictures that they put up a menorah up in their homes because they say, we want to stand with you. I've never seen such love from all walks of life here in America. So I say to everybody who's out there, it makes no difference whether you're an atheist or you're a religious person. One thing we all agree on is love is important. Light is the only way to go. Hanukkah is a holiday of 2,500 years where the oppressors came and said, we don't want your light. And a few thousand Maccabees changed the world forever. And that's why we have this wonderful holiday of Hanukkah.
Rabbi, what would you say to a Jewish American who is maybe considering going to a Hanukkah celebration but feels afraid to do it in public? Or what would you say to the towns or the cities that have canceled their celebrations this year because of fear?
You know what? The moment you cancel, let's talk about the government officials. If you cancel it, what you're really saying is you're allowing the negative to win. You must understand. These people are not going to be here tomorrow. These people are not going to be here 2-3 years from now. But when you as a government and going to like this, we don't want to put the police out there because we don't want, what don't you want? You're always going to go and say, let's say it wasn't Hanukkah and it was a gay pride parade and there was a bunch of people who are saying, we don't want it to happen and we're going to go and do violence. You're not going to allow the parade to go? You must understand, America is a place where everybody has the freedom to speak. And that is the holiday of Hanukkah. So all the government people that are saying we're scared, to whom you're scared of? The Jewish people? Or those that are trying to go and hurt and destroy the beautiful community that you're living in? These are renter crowds that are coming in. We know where they're coming from. Government, I'm begging you, don't go and say, we're stopping. Because you think it's today? Wait until July 4th. They came after Thanksgiving already in New York. This will go on and on if you allow it. Cancer grows until you stop it.
Rabbi, you talked so beautifully about the message of Hanukkah, of the importance of light. And I remember the Chabad Rebbe saying in a speech one time that you can't beat darkness back with brooms and sticks. You can only do it with light. I'm wondering, as you are seeing all of this happening in the world, how do you find hope and how do you find that light?
You got to realize something. You're talking to a guy that doesn't allow the darkness to enter. I mean, a week after the war started, I was in Israel. I was visiting the soldiers. I had people donating money from all across America, Jews, Gentiles, help them in what they need. That is the light. That is the belief. I mean, today is Pearl Harbor Day. Out of all days, it's also Hanukkah. America was attacked by hate, by the ideology that wanted to destroy America. Americans didn't question what we should do with the hate. They got rid of it, and Japan is our best friend today. We have to be the same way. Be strong in your message. Do not allow hate to continue. America knew how to do it in World War II. And by the way, they continued on into Europe, and thank God they got rid of Nazism. It's the only way to go after these people. The Maccabees did it. The Americans did it. And now the world is going to have to do it because this cancer is all around the world. Hug somebody. Give a homeless person a meal. Go out to the world and just do one act of kindness. You think that doesn't play on the negative? It sure does. You know why? Because this is not just a darkness and light war. This is a religious war. And we all know how powerful religion is when it's done with love. They're not doing any love. You can see it in their words. You can see it in their faces. It's hate. It's darkness. I wish I can sit with them and transform their way of thinking. But if they're going to go and kill and hurt and rape, we got to do what the Maccabees did. We got to do what America did in World War II. And this is a world issue. May the light of Hanukkah be a blessing, not only to the Jewish people, but to the whole world.
Rabbi Chaim Mintz, thank you so much, and a happy Hanukkah to you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Before we go, inclusion in the classroom, or in this case, the lab. We'll show you what changes a chemistry lab in Texas is making to be more accessible for students who are vision impaired. In tonight's Future of Everything, we're going to college, to Baylor University specifically, where one professor is helping visually impaired students grow into the scientists they strive to be, with cutting-edge innovations to bring them into the lab. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett has this story.
This arrow is representing electrons from this oxygen.
When Noah Cook lost his vision at 18 years old, the option of studying chemistry in college seemed implausible.
All people see a lot of the times is the disability.
But we met Noah, who is now 23, at Baylor University's chemistry lab.
I know immediately which samples are mine based on these
tactile stickers that we got on here.
Where he's conducting experiments alongside his sighted classmates and working directly with Professor Dr. Brian Shaw, who's made it his mission to make chemistry accessible to students who are blind or visually impaired.
The lab is the final frontier of learning, so if you don't make the lab accessible, you're not really making science accessible.
Funded by a grant from the National Institute of Health, Dr. Shaw and his graduate students developed a suite of revolutionary tactile tools, like 3D printed molecules, a tabletop robot that mixes chemicals, and a tool that serves as a guide for intricate experiments.
Labs are trending towards total automation. These tools that can help people with blindness are already being implemented to help sighted people work more efficiently. So in many ways, a chemistry lab is a perfect place for a person with blindness because they're used to visualizing and thinking about things they can't see.
Today's experiment, run in tandem with the Texas School for the Blind, bringing high school students into the lab to try out the tactile tools. 14-year-old Emma Olek preps herself for the first round, attempting the experiment as a sighted scientist would.
I didn't even try. I was like, it's not going to happen.
But for the second round, she snaps on what Dr. Shaw calls the Zambonia and can now seamlessly guide her pipette to run the test perfectly.
I did the floor.
Yep, that looks perfect.
Okay.
How did the whole process feel?
It felt very surreal. It was amazing how simple it was, especially after doing it without the Zamboni.
The results of the experiment are printed out on something like this, and it's done in a way that the data can be analyzed by someone who is sighted or visually impaired. It's showcasing all in one tool how inclusivity can be integrated in a lab. Were you intentional about trying to design something that could be used by everybody, not creating two different tools?
No, I got to be honest, that was an accident. It's funny how that works. You know, it's just going to make everyone's life convenient now.
Building that bridge may be the key to unlocking new discoveries.
Do you think there's an added benefit in a way of having that tactile perspective, of having a different perspective of looking at the elements of chemistry?
We know that diverse groups of scientists, people who think differently because they live differently, they produce better science.
For Emma, just getting into the lab has been life-changing.
It has really helped me a bunch and helped me to maybe come closer to deciding what I want to do in my future.
Do you think there's potential to be a chemist in the future?
Yes, at least some part of it, for sure.
To Professor Shaw and his grad students, the real power of these tools reaches far outside the lab, with the ability to spark confidence and a passion for science in thousands of kids like Emma across the country. Maura Barrett, NBC News, Waco, Texas.
That does it for us tonight. I'm Ellison Barber. We will see you tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.